Good evening, Gills fans. Welcome back to Gills in the Blood TV. It is Thursday night, which once again means looking back at Tuesday night's fixture and then looking ahead to our Saturday game. Tuesday this week was a trip to the Fylde Coast, where unfortunately we went down by 1-0 to Simon Grayson's Fleetwood. The goal coming really early in the proceedings, a penalty conceded after 47 seconds. Said at the time I thought it was a penalty. I thought at first it was a combination of Stuart O'Keefe and Connor Ogilvie. Looking at the replay, it was Connor Ogilvie who seemed to lean on the Fleetwood player. But the more I see it, the softer it gets, and I can completely understand why a lot of fans on social media and our management team were very unimpressed with the decision by the man in the middle to give the spot kick. It ultimately turned out to be the winner, like I said. Was a tight game. Aside from that, Carl Vassell was a constant threat for the Cod Army up against our centre-backs, and he bullied Jack Tucker more than anyone I've seen in recent weeks. Hit the bar shortly after scoring. That would have probably put the game beyond us after 10 minutes if that had gone in, but we grew into the game, created a couple of bits in and around half-time. Alex Cairn made a wonderful save from Ollie Lee on the stroke of the break. Second half, John Akindi come on, made a real difference. Thought he was really, really good. Probably our best player in that second 45 minutes. Was unlucky with one shot, a swivel shot that the keeper saved after Verdane Oliver had won the initial flick on, and the other one was his left-footed drive after his first shot was charged down by the centre-back. And again, Alex Cairn stood up and denied him, unfortunately, and it was fine margins. Fleetwood, again, they weren't without chances themselves. Like I said, it was one of them games where, as a Gills fan, you might think we probably deserved a point. And as a Fleetwood fan, you're sitting here thinking it's a really good 3 points, a really good defensive display and a really well-earned clean sheet. But unfortunately for us, too many of our big players weren't quite at it. And I mentioned at the time and on social media since that I think 4 games in 10 days, not changing the 11, ultimately caught up with us a little bit. There were a few that looked a little bit leggy and looked like they were blowing quite early on in proceedings, and be interesting to see if we make changes at the weekend. Frustrating because we could have got within 2 points of the top 6 if we had won the game. But that's that one out of the way now. We look ahead to Saturday. It's another 1 p.m. kickoff. It's another away trip, and we face these. Our old foes, Swindon Town. Currently struggling, sat in the relegation zone in Sky Bet League 1. Lost a lot of the players that they had in League 2. Lost their manager, Richie Wellens, who brought them up. And it's been a season of struggle. That's pretty clear for anyone to see. You only have to look at the table, look at the players they lost. But to get some more insight and some more inside information before I carry on, I'm going to leave you with Rich from the Loathed Stranger podcast. And you can find them at Loathed Stranger on Twitter, nice and easy. And here he is now with all the lowdown on Swindon Town.
Hello, I'm Rich Pullen and I produce the Swindon Town fan podcast, The Loathed Strangers, which I've been doing for about 3 years. Just a few points really on Swindon's season, which has been an absolute car crash for the overwhelming majority of it. Our expectations were reasonably level. We had a really good feel-good factor amongst the fans throughout last season, due to the fact that we were quite good. Richie Wellens, his tenure created a lot of connection between the fans and the club again, which was really, really important. But that all started to really unravel in the summer, mostly because it became apparent that the squad would be dismantled for reasons that players either weren't fancied by Wellens to step up to League One, loan players returned to their clubs, and some got better financial offers elsewhere. We would have dearly loved to have kept Owen Doyle for the new season, but he's based in Liverpool, and Bolton Wanderers came in with a 3-year contract. You don't turn that down. And we tried to get Jerry Yates at the club on a permanent deal from Rotherham, but he went to Blackpool instead. And with that, we lost a lot of goals. We also lost our third top goal scorer, Kane Woolery, who we don't think was offered a contract, and he's now scoring goals with Tranmere. Our most creative player also left at the early stages of the season. Michael Doughty essentially left football to run his own company. And then the players that we brought in, didn't really do the job to the same degree as the guys did last season. So we brought in a goalkeeper on loan from Manchester United called Matej Kovac, and his expectancy was to meet the levels of our previous loanee goalkeeper Stephen Bender. You see the pattern here. The problem is these loan players, but Kovac was largely dreadful. He wasn't ready for senior football and was sent back to Manchester United in January. January was a tough window for us as well because we lost another one of our most creative players in Giassimi, who went to Charlton on a permanent basis, and we also sent back our best loanee, Matt Smith, who could have quite easily became our player of the season. He was deemed not good enough, or not good enough for the formation that John Sheridan wanted, so he was sent back to Arsenal, and he also joined Charlton on loan for the rest of the season. Managers has been the big one for us this season. So as I said there, we started with Richie Wellens, but a few months in, he left to go and manage Salford City, which left us with John Sheridan taking over, who was taking Wigan down before that. Wigan are now looking like they might stay up, and Swindon, we're pretty much in the same situation as what Wigan were. It's not been a great tenure. It's probably been one of the worst. It's hard to really measure it because we're in this echo chamber and this bubble of social media where everything can be seen as worse than it actually is. But the stats don't lie, and his form at Swindon is on par with our very worst managers. I think he's on 25 games played. We've won 6 of those, drawn 4 and lost the rest, which is 15. So that really is dreadful form, and a lot of the clubs around us have been sacking their managers for far less. But there's been no inkling throughout this that John Sheridan will be leaving anytime soon, which has really wound the fan base up quite significantly, and it's left us in the situation that we're in. It's a good time to play Swindon. We did find a little bit of form a couple of weeks ago where we got an unlikely and undeserved win against Crewe, a good point at Lincoln, and then we beat Northampton. But since then, we've lost all 3 of our games against Sunderland, Accrington Stanley, and against our old rivals, Oxford United, most recently. Things aren't looking that great for us right now. In terms of team selection, I have no idea what he'll go for, because I do think that Sheridan might make 3 or 4 changes to the lineup. He took 2 centre-backs off in the last 5 minutes against Oxford, citing that the Oxford centre-forward, Matt Taylor, was getting behind them too often. But he'd already been substituted, so it was beggars belief where he was coming from there. Score prediction, I'm going to go for Swindon Town 1, Gillingham 1, as optimistic as that may sound for me right now. I appreciate this is probably a very, very miserable little bit for you, but Gillingham shouldn't go to Swindon with any fear, and I hope they do. I hope you lose, but I'm going to go for a draw, 1-1. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that, mate. As always, I really appreciate fans of opposition teams coming on and giving us these bits of information and season overviews, predicted lineups, that type of thing. They're really useful for us Gills fans, because obviously we don't all have the time to keep an eye on every single team, every single game. So thank you, mate, for that. Certainly looks like a club in turmoil, and it certainly looks like a fixture that we're playing at the right time. Looking at the comparative form of the two sides, Swindon in free fall at the moment, it looks like. They've taken 7 points from the last 18 available. That's 2 wins and a draw, but the last 3 have all been defeats, and I think they've only scored once in that period. At home, they're pretty strong though, if a little inconsistent. They've taken 9 points from 18 available in the last 6 at the county ground. 3 wins, 3 losses. Gills, last 6 in the league is 3 wins, a draw and 2 defeats. 10 points from 18 available. And on the road, again, a little bit inconsistent. 2 wins, 2 draws, 2 defeats, 8 points from the last half dozen. Looking at the Swindon squad, They've been shorn of pretty much all their best players, haven't they? Owen Doyle, that Rich alluded to in his piece, has decided not to stay at the end of last season, was offered more money and a contract closer to home at Bolton Wanderers. Brett Pittman came in to replace him. He's got 18-30 this season. Jack Payne, that we were linked to, I think, last summer, played a lot of games, but goal output is only 2, I think, so not great for a player of his talents. But yeah, I think it's more to do with the fact that they've lost a lot of good players and key players from that promotion season and the early half of the campaign that's going to hinder them. And they'll probably see them in and around a relegation dogfight for the rest of the season. Michael Doughty retired or quit at the start of the summer. Jai Asami, the lad, went to Charlton in January. They lost Johnny Smith and Matt Smith, both recalled, and then went to various other clubs in League One. I think Johnny went to Charlton on loan, and I think Matt Smith's gone to Burton on a permanent, so I'm not sure what's gone on there. There's a lot of unrest amongst the fan base towards the manager, John Sheridan. Seems that pretty much everybody doesn't want him at the club, but there seems to be no signs of him being sacked despite the poor form, according to Rich. So certainly an opportunity for us to bounce back from that disappointing defeat on Tuesday evening. And you never know, if we can pick up 3 points, we could be back in and around the playoffs in terms of being only a couple of points away. We know it's a long shot. I've said for ages it's a possibility rather than a probability, but it's nice to dream and it's nice to be talking about the top 6, isn't it? So in terms of team news for us, before I let you go, no Dominic Samuel, no Callum Slattery, and it remains to be seen whether Ryan Jackson's going to be fit after being forced off at half-time in the week at Highbury. So I'm going to assume he's ruled out. So my team this Saturday, basing on the fact that Steve Evans said he might make changes, and I think that is needed, I'm going to go for Jack Bonham in goal, Robbie McKenzie to slot in at right back, Jack Tucker, Robbie Cundy and Connor Ogilvie the rest of that back four. Stuart O'Keefe and Carl Dempsey retain their places for me because they are that pivotal. I would take out Tommy O'Connor and bring in Alex McDonald, and that's no disrespect to Tommy. I think he's been decent on the whole recently, but he's another one that could probably do with a little bit of a breather. Jordan Graham I would play, and then I would drop Ollie Lee and bring John Akindi in to play alongside for Dane Oliver. So you could play as a diamond with Jordan Graham at the point and Carl Dempsey and Alex McDonald from the sides with a front two, or you could go flat 4-4-2 and play 2 wide men with Alex McDonald and Jordan Graham as the wingers. So would give us a little bit of flexibility in terms of systems. My bench this week would be Sasha Bastien, Thomas O'Connor, Christian Magoma, James Morton, Matty Willock, Ollie Lee and Tyreek Johnson. Right, the big question as always, score prediction. And looking at the comparative form, the fact that although we lost on Tuesday, it was a close game. We could have got something from it. The form before that was really good. 7 points from 9 against some good sides. And the fact that Swindon seem to be really, really struggling. And that's not just me saying that, that's coming from their own supporters. I'm going to go for a final score of Swindon Town 1, Gillingham 2. And I'm going to back our 2 big front men to get the goals. So 1 each for John Akindi and for Dane Oliver. Today is the day before I go. 4 years on since Josh Wright's unbelievable hat-trick of penalties brought us back from the death when we were 2-0 down with about 15 minutes to play at the Priestfield. A day like no other, probably one that we'll never see again in our lifetime. And yeah, it was nice reliving that today, finding the old match day live. I put a few clips on Twitter, so go and check that out if you've not seen it. Another thank you to Gillingham Legends, Jim, who's been doing my artwork for the YouTube channel and Twitter, so much appreciated to him. And continue to go and check out the Third Tier podcast, nearly at 600 followers now, and we'll be doing another giveaway. And finally, the Fan Hub video will be at the end of this vlog. Friday tomorrow, say it every week, very close to the weekend. Looking forward to the game on Saturday. Gives us an opportunity to bounce back and get ourselves in amongst it towards the top 6 if we can get a good result. But for now, enjoy your Thursday evening, enjoy your weekend. Be back Saturday for Match Day Live, and until next time, up the Gills.